Hello friends and welcome back to another lecture. In this lecture we will discuss about file IO. File IO means file manipulation in Java, how to do manipulation in files and all we will discuss about in this lecture. So let us start this lecture. So first thing to understand is what is a file. File is a consist of data and it can be of a particular format, a text file or a txt file or any kind of files can be considered to be files in Java. File is handled like a data structure in Java. And the another thing to note is about file API is all the API methods and interfaces and classes are present in the java.io package. And next we will discuss about some of the operations which we can perform using the current file API methods. And first one is create, read, update, delete, and you can also write into particular files. So all the CRUD operations can be performed using the file API. And now let us discuss about some of the methods which are present in the file class. So file class is an important class in the file API which consists of all these methods which we will be discovering in our practical examples. So let us start these methods. So first method is can read will return you a particular flag which will mention about whether a particular file can be read or not. Next method is create new file. Create new file will create a particular file and it will return a true value if the file is created successfully. Next it is can write method. So can write method will return you a particular whether the particular user has access to write the particular files. If it is there, then it will return true. And next method is exists. So exists will check whether a particular file is existing in the system, and then only we will be performing the task. So it can be used to validate the particular file's existence. Next method is delete method. So delete method will delete the particular file from the system. So it will remove the particular file. And next method is mkdir. Mkdir will create a folder for you and create a directory or a folder for you, and it will create the particular folder according to whatever the requirement you are specified. So that's it about file APIs theoretical aspects. Now let us see some programs based on the file API. Now let us see a program based on file API. In this program, I will be writing into a file some values, and then I will show you how the file API can be done. So let us see the program. So you can see here I am using a file writer object in the try block. You can see the file. There is an exception of IO exception that is I'm catching. So I am writing the file writer object and creating the particular path. So in my Eclipse workspace inside the particular project folder, I have created an out folder. Inside the out folder, the particular file will be created, and like that I am giving a relative path. And next it is I am using the buffered writer object to hold the particular file writer object will be passed into the constructor, and then I will use the buffered write method to write the particular string into the particular file. So after that I am catching the exception and printing the message of file is printed. Then that's it about this program. Now let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the message is printed. Now let us see the file where it is written. So I already opened up the file, so you can see the message is printed correctly. So that's it about output of the program. Now let us see another program based on the file API. In this program I am going to read from the particular file. So we have written already some data into a file sample.txt. So we will read from the particular file in this program. So let us see start this program. So here we can see I have a file reader object, and then a buffered reader object is created based on the particular file reader object. Path is specified here for the file reader. So like that, and after that I am using a for loop, sorry, while loop. So in the while loop it is a while true, always true while loop will create. And in the while loop what I will do is I need to get each line one by one. So what I will do is I'll check whether the current line is null or not. If it is null, then I will break out of the loop, else I will append the particular value to the string. So like that I will continue adding the values till all the lines have been copied correctly into the string, and finally I will print the string. And after that there are some exceptions such as file not found exception, IO exception. These exceptions will be catched using the catch block. So let us see the output of this program. And one more thing, whenever you use buffer reader, we have to close the buffer reader. So I'm closing the buffer reader, and let us see the output of this program. So here you can see whatever in the last program we have written some data into the file. The same data has came into the particular output of the screen. So we are printing it back into the console. So that's it about output of this program. Now let us see another program based on the file IO. Now let us see another program based on file IO. So in this file IO program, I will be just getting the information about a particular file and then printing it into the console. So let us start this program. So here you can see file class object I have created. So for the particular path, the path is mentioned same as what in the last example, whatever the file I was using, the same file I am using, and I will get the information such as exist and other information can read, can write, and other informations path, name, all the informations I will print. And let us see the output of this program. Let us now let us go through the each line. So here you can see name, path, and all other informations are getting printed, and this is it about output of the program. So next we will see a program based on the properties file. Let us start the program. Now let us see a program based on the properties files. So properties files are those files which consist of settings and other features which is a key value pair. We will store those settings. So for example here you can see a key and a value, key and a value, like whatever in a hash table, whatever the value is there in a hash map or hash map, similar to that this properties file will be storing key value pairs. So now let us see this properties files is used in many frameworks and all to load the particular settings. So let us see the how we can use the file API to handle this. So we are in the main method. So here we will use a particular properties file properties. You can see here and declaring a properties. So this belong to util package. So this is used to manipulate the properties files. So let us see this program. So here is the load method. So load method in the properties file will be able to load particular file from the from our folder to the system, and it will be able to get all the files and load the properties into the particular properties object. So now we after doing this the properties all are loaded, and after that I will do some operations. So getting and setting values, all I will do. I can see it getting a particular value, and I'm setting a particular value, and after that you can see I'm getting the property here, and I'm setting the property. Finally I will use the store method. So store method is used to retrieve the restore the particular value into back into the file. So if you want to write the particular properties into a file, you can use the store method. And store method takes a parameter of a particular file path, file object, and as well as it will take a string which will be the message which will be printed into the particular uh, property file after the successful printing of writing of the particular file. So let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the messages all coming, all the get and set is working. Now let us see the output of the file. So here we can see the output in the file. Values are coming correctly. It you can see the message what we are written for the particular is also coming into this. So the files are updated. So that's it about how to handle properties files using Java. In this lecture we have seen about Java file handling. We are seeing how to we can use Java to read, write, and get information about files, and even use property files. So thank you for watching this lecture. I will be back with the next lecture. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to another lecture. In this lecture, we will discuss about new IO, which is an alternative solution to Java.io, what which we seen in the last lecture. So let us start. So new IO is a feature which is available in Java, which allows an alternative solution to Java.io. Whatever the functionalities are present in the IO package, it is also present in the new IO package. So it is a much more advanced solutions for the particular file operations. So we will see in the practical how this new file IO will have effects. Now let us see some more points about new IO. So new IO is present in the package NIO package, and in that particular package, all the new classes and interfaces are present. And now let us discuss some more features about file IO, new IO. So the channels, buffers, files, and paths are the new features which are available in the new IO. So these features we will not go through each and every feature, but we will go through the paths and files in feature in the particular programming examples. So we will go to now. Let us see the programming examples based on the new IO. Now let us discuss about a program based on new IO, which is the enhanced version of IO, non-blocking IO. So let us discuss about it. So here in this program, I have a file copying mechanism. So I will copy a file from a particular destination to source to a destination. Sorry, and in this I will use the new IO feature. So let us start this program. So here you can see I have different path objects for source and destination, and path will be pointing to the particular file. So the syntax you can see paths dot get of folder name comma file name. So similar to the syntax, you have to declare the paths. So both the paths, once you are done, then you can copy the files using the copy method. So here you can see along with that I am passing the replace parameter, so that the files if exists then it should replace the contents of the file, and I am catching the exception. So now let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the message is printed. Now let us see the file. So here you can see in the previous lecture, if you watch it carefully, then you will notice that this is a message which I put into the particular file. So the same output has been came copied back into the new file. So that's it about output of this program. So now I will see another program based on the new IO. Now let us see a program based on new IO in which I will be creating a new file. So let us see this program. So here is the program. So paths I have declared, path is declared, and the way object it is passing out. Example.txt is the particular file name, and I will be printing out the other details about the particular file name and all. And after that I am having a try block. So in the try I will write the create new file method in the files class. So files dot create new file, I will call and pass in the particular object of path object, and it will be creating the particular file. So now let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the output has came successfully. Now wait for a minute, wait for a second, I will open the particular file. I have opened the file, and now you can see there is nothing in the file. So there is no the file has been created successfully. Now let us go back to our function program. So here we can see the same program. Now let us try to run it again. So here you can see an exception will be thrown because this create file method will be based on the it will it will not replace the existing file. It will try to create a new file in the particular directory, but if there is an already existing file, then it will throw that particular exception. So that's it about this program. So now let us go and see another program based on new IO. Now let us see another program based on new IO. In this program, I will write particular data into the file. So that is the goal of this program. So now let us start the program. So here you can see I have declared a path object pointing to the path of the particular folder out and in the particular file name, and that will be pointing. Now let us see the try and catch block. So the try block I have declared using the method of files dot write string method, and in that I am passing the path object. Along with that I am declaring a text block, so it can take any string. We can use text blocks wherever a string can be passed. So I am using the text block syntax so that I can pass in multiple lines of command, multiple lines of string at one place. So I am passing the multiple lines at the one place. So like this we can use the string text block syntax, and after that I'm printing the message, and then I'm catching the exceptions. Now let us see the run the program. So here you can see the message has been printed. Now let us see the output file. So here you can see last class this file was empty. Now we have added some data into the file. So the data is came into the file. So that's it about output of this program. So in this lecture we are seeing about the new IO and explored more methods of the new IO and how we can create a copy file and a create file, and we can write into a file. All the methods we are seeing using the new IO. So thank you for watching this lecture. I will be back with the next lecture. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another lecture. In this lecture, we will discuss about Symbol API for XML or SAX parser, XML parser. So we will go on through many of the things in the last previous examples and all. So in this lecture, we will cover XML, how XML parsing will work. So XML means extended markup language, and it is used to store data, and it is a markup language. It consists of data and tags, and we will be parsing through each data using the XML parsers. So parsers are basically those tools which we use to process a file, so that we will be able to retrieve the data from the file and complete our information of the about a particular event. So and that's it about parsing. And now let us see how the Saks XML parser will work. So it does not require any memory because it does not hold any structure of the particular XML file. It will not create a structure of the XML file or objects. It will not create. It will only trigger events, and certain events will be triggered when you reach the start of the tag, end of the tag, and characters found in the tag. So for all those things, there will be events triggered. Based on the events triggered, we have to write our handler functions. So the handler methods will be used to write the logic of how to create the object. So we will create our object based on the handler functions. So that is it about the common understanding things about the symbol API for XML or a SAX XML parser. So now let us go through some programs based on the SAX XML parser. Now let us see a program based on SAX XML parser. So in this program we will have a data about a company and its employees, and we will parse all the data of the employees, and we will generate an object, a list of employees based on the particular XML data. So let us see the XML file first. So this is an standard XML file. So in this XML file you can see there are different tags. So each tag will be processed one by one. So here you can see company tag. The company tag is the most outer tag, and inside the company tag there is an employee tag. So if there are set of employees, each employee will have ID, name, and age tags inside them, and each tag will hold their particular data. So this is how the structure of the XML file will look like. Now let us see the program. Now let us see the object which I will be storing the particular values of the XML file. So this is the employee object. So it will have ID, name, and age. The three fields are there. Similar to the XML structure, whatever the employee has, that all fields I have declared. So this object will be saved, and we will be storing based on this employee object, and it will be a list we will be storing. Now let us see the implementation of XML parser. So XML parser is implemented by extending a class called as default handler and creating a handler class. So the handler class is responsible for catching all the triggered events based on the documents tags. So if any document, for example, there is a start of a document, then there will be an event, end of a document, there will be an event. Each characters will trigger an event, and each element will trigger events such as start element and end element. So all the events will be handled using this particular handler class. So let us start this class. So first thing to understand is we need some variables to store the values. So first an array list is required to store the entire collection of the employee objects, which will be our final output. And after that there will be we need an employee object to hold each instance of a particular tag. So that is also required, and there are requires of flags, so multiple flags are required, so that these characters event and these um, start element events, these events will not find out, we will not able to find out from the outside which tag it is going out. So we need flags to handle those conditions. So we are declaring some flags, which is globally we are declaring the flags. And you can see the first events, you can see first handler function, handler method, which is start element. And like that there are many methods, you can see start element, end document characters, and many events are there, you can see one by one. So now let us start from the top again. So we'll go to the start document first. So here is the start document default handler function. So here you can see it will trigger the particular event when the document is started, and based on that we are creating the array list and initializing the array list. And after that next is the end document. So end document part, we will be just printing the array list. So at that point the array list will be completely done. So we will be going to the next method. Next method is start element. So in the start element method will be triggered when each tag is started. So for each tags inside the particular main tag, this event will be occurring. So for that you can see the logic. For employee, I am creating an employee object and setting the flag. For others, we I am just setting the particular flags, and that's it about the start element. Now let us go to the characters event. So for after the start event, the characters event will be triggered, which will be outputting the particular characters present in the particular file. Here you see in the above example, you can see the queue name will hold the particular value, and we are switching to the particular value. So similar to that, here in this case, this is ch array will be holding the all the character values. So I'm using the string class or constructor to split the particular string and get the particular string representation of the character array, and we will get the string of the particular whatever the values present in the particular tag, we will get it. And based on the flags which we set in the start element, we will be parsing, or we will setting the values of the id, name and age. You can see id I am parsing using integer dot parseInt because it is a string value, so we need to parse it to an integer value. And similar to that, I am doing it for age also, and for name I don't need to do that because it's already a string. And after that finally we have the uh, end element end element uh, end element default handler function. So end element we just need to set all the flags to false. So that is only we will do in that particular part. That's it about this basic the handler function logic. you can see how I am handling the function. So I am put the console logs system.out.println in all the particular files, and so that we will be able to identify each events when it will be triggered. Now let us go through the main method. Now let us see the main method. In the main method, we are writing some logic so that we will be parsing the XML document. So let us start. So here you can see in the main method, I have declared a handler object. Handler object is required so that we're passing the handler object to the parse method so that we will be able to parse the document. And here you can see I'm creating the sax parser factory object using the sax parser static method new instance, and after that I'm creating this sax parser object. I'm using this para factory dot new sax parser, and after that I am using the parse method in which I will supply the particular file location as well as the handler which I return. So each handler has all the functionality to catch the particular events, and we are already written the code to construct the object based on that. And there are some exceptions which are here. All the exceptions are catched. So now let us run this program. So here you can see first we will go to the top. So here you can see each events are triggered. We have put some console system.out.println for all the particular values. Here you can see now events are triggering for each events. It is printing the values one by one. You can check it out. It's a long list. And after that finally you can see before end event I am printing out the list which we are constructed using the default handler. So here you can see all the values are coming inside the list. This is print of the list. All the values are coming in the list in name, age, and ID. All the values are coming. So this is it for output of this program. So in this lecture we are seeing about Sax XML parser, which is used to parse XML documents. So we are learned about how to parse using XML parser. So now let us see in the next lecture we will discuss about the next XML parser, which is DOM parser. Thank you for watching this lecture. I'll be back with the next lecture. Thank you. Now in this lecture we will discuss about a DOM parser in Java. So it's an XML parser which is used to parse documents, and also we can write the documents into files. So that is a usage of DOM parser. In the last lecture we have seen about Sax XML parser. So in this lecture you will see about the DOM XML parser. So DOM XML parser stands for Document Object Model Parser. So it consists of a tree structure, and it will traverse the tree and go through each elements like that. So it will create a variable in the memory to store the particular objects. So it will be you consuming your memory. Unlike Sax parser, which does not require any objects to store, it will only we can use Sax parser when you need only to read a particular XML. In order to write to an XML file, then you need a particular DOM XML parser. It can create a node, delete a node, and all the things can be done using the DOM parser. So basically, you have to create objects using your own methods. You have to write the particular logic for creation of nodes, and how to create the traverse the nodes. All the logic you have to write inside the DOM parser. So now let us discuss one more thing which I forgot to tell in the last lecture. So both Sax and DOM, in order to work in your Java file, you need to have a module dependency which is java.xml. So that module dependency, how you can add is by going to your particular module.info file, which is near your in the root folder of your project. You can find out the module info file, and if you found out the module info file, go to it and add the module dependency by requires java.xml module. So like that, if you add, then automatically the XML APIs will be working for you, and that's how you will be adding the module dependency and making your APIs work. Now let us go to some programs based on the DOM XML parser. Now let us see in this program how to create an XML file using the document using the particular DOM API. So in this program, we will create an XML file of a particular similar to that last example company XML was there. Similar to that, we will create an company XML which will consist of employee data. So that is the goal of this program. Now let us see how we will do using the DOM API. So first we will go to our main class. So we'll skip the above method. First we will go to our main method to start our execution. So first we need is a document builder factory object. So it is created by document builder factory dot new instance. And after that the try block will start. There are multiple exceptions. You can see we are catching all the exceptions. So let us see one by one, line by line, how the code will work. So let us start. So document builder object has to be created. So you will be creating based on the document builder factory dot new document builder. So document builder is created like that. And after that I have to create the document. This document will hold the structure of the entire document, and later we will convert this document into a string, and then we'll print it into your console. So that's how we will be doing in this program. So here you can see the document object. So when you import the document, you have to mention one thing is should be imported from w3c.dom org.dom w3c.org.dom package. So it should be from that particular package, then only it will work. Now let us go to again. We have created the document, and after that we are creating a root element, and we are in this logic. Next part of the logic is to create the document structure. So how we will create document structure is creating the element and other elements in the particular document. So here you can see I am creating the element, and I am appending the child element. And after that I'm calling this method. You can see here I'm calling the method. So above method which I am used. So in this method it will create an employee object. It will create, and for each employee object it will create a particular XML structure for it. So let us see how I am doing it. Here you can see element I am creating, and for each tag I am creating an element, and after that I am appending all the elements back to the structure. So finally the structure will be completed after the every function call, every method call. And you can see here it is calling one by one each for each data of the employee. It is calling the method and it will build the structure. So our tree structure will be completed like that. So now once we done creating the document structure, we can see I will be adding it into the particular root element. So like that you can see I will be constructing the tree structure like that. So we are seeing how we can create the tree structure, and after that I will be converting it into a string. So we will be outputting our particular XML file as a string. We will be generating our XML file using this DOM API. So here you can see first I need to create a document source object which is created using the DOM object, and after that I'm using the string writer to hold the string. We want to write the string into a string writer. Using the string writer object we will be able to write it, and then I will create a stream result stream result object, and after that I will be creating a transformer factory object. So transformer factory object is used to create the transformer for our particular file, a particular XML file. So we will create a transformer object after that in the try block. So there are some exceptions throwing, so we have to put it in a try block. So here you can see transformer is created like this. After creating the transformer, then we can transform our particular XML file into a string. Here you can see the input. Yeah, I'm parsing the document source as well as the string result into the particular method, transform method, and after that I'm printing the values. So here there are multiple exceptions in the program. We are catching all the exceptions one by one, and here once more you can see how I'm creating the tree structure. This code you have to check it out if you have time, and once it's done let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the output. So it is coming, all the tree structure is coming, the document is printing correctly, the XML structure is coming. So all the elements are getting printed as per the XML structure. These all are coming without spacing. So that's why we have to go like this. So all the structure is coming. So that's it about how to do this program. Now let us see another program based on DOM parser. Now in this program, I will be converting this parsing the particular XML file and going using the DOM API. So we are parse the document using the Sax XML parser. So here we'll use the DOM XML parser to parse the document. So in this program, we are having a customer's data. So customers will be the main root element of our XML data structure, and you can see each element will be a customer object, and it will have id, name and address. Here you can see, and we will see the object for this particular class. So this is the object for this particular XML structure. So we will be creating the list of a list of customers based on this id, name and address fields, where we will be creating the list of customers. Now let us see the main method of this program. Now in the main method, first thing which we need to do is to create the document builder factory object, and after that we will create the document builder object. You can see here, and we are created a file object initially to store the particular XML file, and we will be pointing the XML file which we need to parse, and then after that you can see I'm creating the document object by parsing the particular file using the document builder dot parse of a particular file, and that will parse the particular document into a. Then I'm doing the normalize operation, and after that I'm printing the root element. Here you can see the root element will be customers for us, so it will be printing that particular value. And after that I'm using I'm getting the node list for get elements by tag, and tag name will be there. So based on the tag name customer, we will be fetching all the customers on the particular XML structure, and after that I will use a for loop. So this node list will not be iterable, so we have to use a for loop to go through each elements, and then I will cast these elements back to nodes back to element, and then I will do the operations to add the particular parse the particular file, particular values in the particular structure. So one by one you can take time to check out this code. So this is about how we will be checking the element condition and all the values will be populated to the particular files particular structure, and you can see the code. So take time to see the code. I will be provided the GitHub repository link for this particular project, and we can see most of the examples. You have to spend some time to see through the code and to see how I'm writing the logic for this particular part. So now go like get back to the program. So here you can see these methods, and finally I am calling the using the once I am fetched all the data and populated the list. I will be using the for loop to print all the details of the particular customer list. So for each method I will use of the particular list, and I will be populating the particular list. Now let us see the output. So here you can see root element is getting printed, and after that I am printing all the customers information one by one. So this is how we can use DOM XML parser to parse through a document and read the document data. And in this lecture we have seen about the DOM XML parser. We have seen programs to create an XML structure using the DOM XML parser, as well as a program to read and parse the XML document. So here you can see this document, this code is little complex, so take time to understand the code, and I'll be back with the next lecture. Thank you. Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we will discuss about process APIs in Java. So process API is a API which is used to access the system processes. So we know in our system there are multiple processes executing simultaneously. So process API helps us to access those processes one by one, and we can find the children of the processes and get information about the process id we can get, and we will be able to monitor the processes by using the process API. And it is allow there are new enhancements after Java 9. So after Java 9 there was in process API was improved, and process class has added new methods, and there are process handle and process handle.info method interfaces are added to the particular process API. Now let us see some of the methods which are present in the process API. So here we can see the methods. So here you can see process handler will return handle will return the process handle object, and other methods are like it will process PID method will return you the process ID of the particular process. Each process will have a unique process ID, and it will be returned using the process ID method. And then children will return the children of the particular process. A process can have multiple children, so that's why there is that function method. And after that there is descendants and process handle info object returning function, and finally we will have on exit method. So we will see some of the methods in the example. Thank you for watching. Now let us see the programs based on the process API. Now let us see a program based on the process API. So process API is used to access the process information and get the details about a process in the system. So let us start this program. So here we will have a process handle object, and for that particular object I will be using process handle dot current. It will return me the current in process what it is running, and I will print the details of the processes one by one. You can take some time to check out all these methods which are present in the process API. There are several methods. Using these methods we can get all the details about a process in Java, and you can see one by one I am printing all the details one by one, line by line. And now let us see the output of this program. So here you can see one by one all the details of the particular process is coming, current process is coming, process ID, everything is getting printed, and you can see all the values. So this is it about this lecture in about process API. So process API helps us to manipulate processes and get information about the processes which are running in your system. So it is a very helpful API, and in Java 9 it was enhanced to have more interfaces and methods into the particular class. So thank you for watching this lecture. I will be back with the next lecture in the next video. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another lecture. In this lecture, we will discuss about HTTP clients. So HTTP clients are certain softwares certain APIs which will allow us to connect to Java networks. So we will be able to connect to networks, and we will be able to access the files and all using this API. So let us start this discussion. So first we will discuss is a URL class. So URL class is a class which is available in the Java.NET package, which allows us to have the URL connection to particular websites. So we will be able to access the website information through Java code. So now let us see some of the components of the URL. So the first one is a protocol, which will be deciding the which protocol we are using, and next is port. So which port number is a specified number which will through which we will be able to connect it to the particular web server, and next is host will be the name of the address of the particular host, and next is file name. So file name will be the particular file name of the file which we want to access, and following that query and path parameters. So this will be extra values which we need to we will discuss in the programming part. Now let us discuss about the new HTTP client. So it is introduced into Java 11. It was finalized in Java 11. It was incubated in Java 9 and 10. So it is a new, it was a completely new framework for uh, for HTTP client. So it will be able to access using asynchronous methods. So the methods are asynchronous means it can access multiple items simultaneously without blocking one by one after the another. So it is a non-blocking type of accessing. And let us discuss some of the classes and interfaces which are part of the new HTTP client. So the first one is HTTP client, then HTTP request, then HTTP response interface, and WebSocket interface. So we will discuss about this in the programming part. Now let us jump right into the programs. So now let us see a program based on URL class. So in this program, we will use the old API to connect it to websites. So we will connect to google.com and get its response back. So here you can see how I'm creating the URL object. URL equal to new website URL you have to specify, and then you have to create the URL connection for the particular URL open connection. Like that you will be able to add the URL connection, and then you have to create an input stream object, and you will get the get input stream, and you will get the particular input stream of the particular URL connection, and then you will create a buffer reader object and to store the particular output which we are getting as a response. And after that I will be printing the particular values. So here you can see the string is coming, and you can see I'm using the buffer reader to go through and print all the values of the particular response. So here you can see I will have the while loop to go through the read line method. So I will be reading each line, and then I will be printing the particular line by line into the console. So the output will be printed, and you can see here after the connection is finalized, I will be closing the connection, and then I will be catching the exceptions which has occurred. Now let us run this program to see the response. So yeah, now it is response is came. You can see whatever the message is coming for it. This is HTML code which is sent by the google.com, and the response message is like this. So thank you for watching. Now let us see another program based on the URL, which is the new API for URL connection HTTP client. Let us see that program. Now let us see another program based on the HTTP clients. So in this program, we will be using the new API for HTTP clients. So first, we will see this program. You will be accessing the Google website and printing the response back. So here you can see first we need to create an HTTP client object. Here you can see the object I am created, and after that we have to create the particular request object, so that we will use the method particular method of the new builder method will be used. And after that URI you have to pass particular URI of new URI of google.com we have to provide, and we have to method we have to specify get, and then you have to build the method. So that's how we will be sending the request object. And now let us see the response. So response object we have to create, then and then after that you can see http client dot send we will use. So in that send we will pass the request object. Along with that we have to specify the output what format we want. So here we will pass http response dot body handler dot of string, like that we will specify, and then we will able to get the string as the output. Then we will print the particular string response. Then we will catch all the exceptions which are coming in the program. Now let us run this program. So it will take some time to run. Now let us see the output of the program. Here you can see the response from the Google website. You can see the response string is coming. So that's it about the new way of connecting to using the URL new functionality which is there in Java 11. From Java 11 onwards, this functionality was introduced. And in this lecture, we are seeing about how to connect to internet using this URL HTTP clients. So this is important to learn in Java. So we can connect to websites through our code and get the response back and process the information. So thank you for watching this lecture. I will be back with the next lecture. Thank you.